And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Beyond the Summit presentation of the iLeague Season 3 Dota 2 Chinese qualifiers. Here in the group stage, we're looking at Newbee versus Newbee.Y. Yeah, it's a noob off, and we're going to be seeing these two teams go up against one another in a 2-game series. So it should be pretty fun. I'm assuming that these guys have actually taken advantage of the fact that they are under the same sponsorship to actually scrim against one another on 6.84 a little bit, get a little bit more practice in with the unique strats, and we may see that fleshing out over this series. That should be really fun. We're actually going to be seeing a lot of Newbee today, to be honest. We're looking at the schedule here today, and obviously right now we've got Newbee.Y versus Newbee, but later on we've got Newbee Miracle versus Braveheart and Newbee versus Dream Gaming. So we're going to see a lot of these guys here, and we'll see what they've got to bring to the table here in the new meta, new patch, and that's going to be fun to spectate. Last series was really enjoyable, and got to commentate that, of course, but yeah, I myself was... I messed it up there, but anyways... It's been a interesting run so far. It's still a little early in the morning for me, 6:20, but for those that don't know me, I of course am Blaze, bringing you guys the play-by-play, and along with me is Gorgon, the Wonder Cow. How's it going, man?
It's going very well. Happy to be here once again, and the sun starts to come out outside my window for some Chinese Dota. Newbee.Y should be a really interesting game. Actually, these teams have only gone against each other one time on ticketed events, and Newbee.Y trashed Newbee. It was like a less than 20-minute game on 6.83.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people are expecting Newbee to just tear away with this one, but Newbee.Y has already demonstrated less than a month ago that they can hold their own in this matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of potential for Newbee.Y here. I wouldn't say that they're the better team. They're definitely not as experienced, but from just individual plays, what I've seen for them, they absolutely have a lot of potential in this matchup, and I've come to respect a lot of their players. I think this is one of the teams that you got to look out for just a little bit more. But we'll see an interesting draft opener, so I'd love to get into that. We're going to see a Spirit Breaker, Queen of Pain, banned out, along with the Undying Shadow Fiend. Pretty understandable. But opening up not only with the Earthshaker Rubik, which could be a duo of supports, or it could be an offlane and a support combo, and then the Lina and Bounty Hunter. That is an interesting decision.
Yeah, Lina Bounty Hunter, not a combination that you see a whole lot. The Bounty Hunter obviously received a lot more, well, not even necessarily buffs so much as changes that really helps that Bounty Hunter take a semi-support role in a much more graceful manner on 6.84. Should allow him to play that 4 spot pretty successfully if that's the way Newbee.Y wants to run it, in the same sort of manner that you might see a Tuskar or a Night Stalker, very gank-oriented 4 spot that helps bolster up teams' resources, especially with that track. Newbee, however, going with a pretty classic combination here, the Rubik and the Earthshaker coming out very strong. In terms of our 6.84 stats, Lina is the most picked hero so far this patch, and no surprise to see Newbee.Y picking her up immediately just to make sure she doesn't get snatched out.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't really nerfed too significantly. She really didn't need it. She was a hero that was good at certain stages with certain items, and in general just is one of those incasters that they want to scale a little bit harder. Really fits with what they've been bringing to the game with their recent items they've added and such like that. So Lina with the Aghanim Scepter, a early game presence, disabling, damage dealing caster that can still actually do some good work in the mid to late game thanks to the pure damage from her Axe. That's just pretty much where they seem to really like this hero. They are enjoying the fact that she's able to provide that much damage in a quick burst, and they want her to kind of perform that role to a significant degree. We're going to see Bounty Hunter kind of helping her along in that route. Even if it's like a support Lina, the track gold is going to make her into like a semi-core. She's going to get that Ags out along with that Yules this game, as long as we're seeing something longer than 30 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, with the track gold, it could come out even faster than that, even out of support role, if it's a very gank-oriented duo from the Bounty Hunter Lina. Now, if it's an off-lane Bounty Hunter, that might actually slow down the Lina's farm, just because it means that there's a Bounty Hunter who, in terms of being a core, does require a fair amount of experience and farm, and he doesn't rotate quite as much through the early game as he is going to go ahead and try to get up that level 11 as quickly as he can to make sure that the track gold is, well, actually viable rather than just being a little bit off the top.
So, we're going to see the Ancient Apparition Viper banned out along with the Centaur Brewmaster. Obviously, Newbee are afraid of the Strength Initiators that 456 loves to pick up in the offlane. He picks up Spirit Breaker, Centaur, sometimes the Brewmaster, and they want to respect that and take that off the table for their offlane potential. Along with that, the Ancient Apparition Viper, I mean, good lane presence, good damage over time, preventing healing. AA, actually, I think, just in general, is kind of one of those supports that is now suddenly on his own as far as what he brings to the table. He exclusively is the hero that will prevent healing, and there are even more items that do healing now. The Guardian Greaves regen, the Octarine Core spell vamp, stuff like that. I really feel like Ice Blast is just this very unique spell that you have to consider as a threat no matter what draft you're going into. But we're going to be seeing a very active early to mid game from Newbee.Y, even though they have heroes that scale well later in the game. Dragonite and Lina have some tremendous presence early on, and I could see a roaming support Lina working pretty well if you can get that Dragon Tail off against your opponent in the mid. No matter the case, Dragonite's going to be able to do some good work in the lane with the new Breathe Fire, and he's going to be able to build momentum with the tower pressure.
Yeah, I do think that bounty hunter, or excuse me, the Dragonite should be in the mid. I don't really see him as being that strong of a safe laner, especially because of the changes to the Breathe Fire. Just makes him so much more viable in the mid, so much more competitive. The ability to reduce his opponent's damage output. Really, that's not as useful of an ability in the solo safe lane or in the defensive safe lane. So you don't necessarily want to put him there and waste his potential.
Yep, so we'll see kind of just right now a good structural core from Newbee. The fact that they have the control from the Earthshake and Rubik and control positioning really well, keep people locked in fights longer than they want to be, and then kind of follow that up with the extended damage from the Bristleback. Bristleback able to do just a lot of physical damage here, and obviously with the things, something like the Mango, he's able to kind of extend that mana pool further and do more. He's also a hero that's harder to gank for the Bounty Hunter. Like, you're not going to get easier kills on the Bristleback just from a quick Janata strike to the front side. But the one thing I'm kind of interested in is he's picking the Bristleback up into the Dragonite, a hero that really negates a lot of physical damage, at least selfishly, towards himself. They just pick up tanky heroes now. Bounty Hunter, Dragonite, Beastmaster, great base armor, and the Dragon's Blood obviously amping up DK. I really don't feel that Bristleback, although he's a good pick in general, is going to be very effective this game in terms of dealing damage.
Yeah, well, the Bristleback is kind of a mixed bag against these survivable, high armor, high health heroes. Part of it is that, obviously, a lot of his damage is going to be mitigated, but he does get the Viscous Nasal Goo, which helps him reduce the survivability of these heroes as well. So it depends on a lot of positioning and how long fights are. If fights are lasting a really long time, then Bristleback is going to be able to whittle down the Dragonite and the Beastmaster pretty successfully. If fights are really quick, and they're going to be over very immediately, so for example, if Lina's just bursting people down and Newbee has to scatter, Bristleback's not going to have the time to really make the damage happen. So what Newbee is looking for are a lot of these skirmishy sort of engage, disengage, protracted fights.
Yeah, and you can see that with the Slark. They're really looking to just stretch this thing out. But I think the Newbee.Y could hit a kind of bursty carry to round out their lineup here. It's clear to me now that 4-5-6 is going to take the Beastmaster to the off lane. We're going to be seeing SCC's Dragonite in the mid. Or the Lina Bounty Hunter duo is going to be the supports roaming around all over the place. I think Bounty will start maybe top lane in the off lane, but doesn't really have to call any specific place home. Keep wandering, keep looking for kills. And then they're going to be looking for just a burst damage carry to really make that safe lane worthwhile. So we'll see what PI wants to go with. Very traditionally picked up a lot of Juggernaut, but not only not as good this patch, but not particularly good this game against heroes like Bristleback and Slark. The mitigation factor from Bristle, the invis factor from Slark if he gets the Shadow Dance away, just not ideal in general. So we'll be looking for something a little bit different. Another aspect of that quick burst that we were looking for, I think, is Dragonite building up towards a relatively early Silver Edge. If he's able to go in and get that burst damage, I mean, huge buff up of damage for your first strike, and get that quick stun. They've got the Dragon Tail, they've got the Beastmaster Roar, and they've got the Bounty Hunter's Janata. All of this is just quick burst along with the Lina Laguna Blade. Add in a Sunstrike on top, and you've got some kills. And I would be dumbfounded if this wasn't an Exhort Invoker here. I mean, we've seen a little bit of Wex, but with a Roar and a Dragon Tail, you've got to go for the Sunstrike.
So is that an Exhort Invoker coming out of the mid then, and then a Dragonite taking the safe lane? Or do you think it's an Exhort in the safe lane?
Yeah, I think it's Exhort in the safe lane. I think that there's a lot of potential just to walk away from that lane. Lina and Bounty Hunter roam away, either jungle with the Lina and roam on the Bounty Hunter, or just roam with both of them. Give Invoker essentially a safe lane solo. And then, of course, DK, we already talked about how good he is in the mid lane.
Yeah, Skywrath Mage is a hero that has a ton of potential on this patch, especially and due to large part to the Octarine Core addition. It gives his cooldown so much more. It gives his mana pool, which he traditionally has a little bit of trouble with, so much more as well. And it really increases his damage output and survivability. He will also do fairly well up against a DK mid if DK mid is the choice, because he's going to be able to still last hit and harass with his Arcane Bolt.
It's a banana on the Skywrath, though. It's going to be, I think, the Bristle mid. It's going to be either Rabbit or Moo taking the mid lane, and it looks like it's going to be the Slark. I'm really surprised at this, actually. No matter who goes, either way, it's a melee hero that relies on right-clicks for the most part.
Maybe they're going to dual mid.
They have to duo. Yeah, they have to force them back. They have to use Arcane Bolt to force back the Dragon Knight. I actually think it's perfectly fine for the Skywrath to babysit here, because if he was on the top lane, he'd be getting Janata'd like crazy anyways. The Bounty Hunter would be just stalking him, right-clicking him, and taking away so much HP. But if he sits mid, he can drop down the Sentry, he can zone out the DK, and just in general feel more confident in that laning configuration.
Well, take away a lot of that statement about the Octarine Core, too, because as a hard support, this Skywrath is probably not going to be able to get too much up. Oh, wow.
What a pickup. That is huge. That is just immense. Finding the first blood against the Bounty Hunter is such a big deal, and San Cheng's actually going to claim it. So they'll get at least one Bounty Ring for sure. I'm not sure. It looks like the bottom one will go to Piao on the Invoker, so moving in towards that Invoke pretty early on. But who do they give it to? It looks like Rabbit is the one they want to give that good start to, and already getting the assistance in the first blood, now getting the bounty rune. Newbee off to a good start.
Yeah, he's almost level 2 already moving to this lane, which is really helpful because this mid, which is currently unoccupied, but it will be the Dragon Knight, is going to be a bit of trouble for him until he gets some levels up. Yes, he does sort of have Banana babysitting him here, but Banana will also be moving back to stack some camps as well, so he's not going to have complete babysit time. And there is obviously the new component to Breathe Fire, which is going to make it more difficult for Rabbit to last hit.
Yeah, I'm really not confident in the Slark in the matchup specifically, but at least he will be able to maybe see the Dragon Tail coming, get out of the debuff there with the Dark Pact, and kind of fight back and forth with him. The Slark melee versus melee isn't that bad considering Essence Shift. If he just gets it at level 2, for example, he could just trade hits every once in a while. The Poor Man's Shield allows him to do that. You already see it here, and every hit will take away a little bit of that intelligence of the Dragon Knight, so he spams the Breathe Fire less, and Rabbit, I'm not saying he's an Outworld Devourer in this lane, but he is going to be chewing through some mana a little bit.
Yeah, he's actually not going to have any babysitting at all as Banana comes up for the pull instead. He kind of hung around the mid lane as though you were thinking about that, but they seem pretty confident that Rabbit is going to get what he needs here.
Oh, Sansheng is actually in a rough spot here. By trading hits with the Boar, he's actually going to put himself in a position where MK can start going up against him, but I guess we wait until level 2 to see that a little bit more. When you have Janata, Orb of Venom, and the Boar slowing down the Rubik, yeah, he's going to be having some issues. But for right now, he's got his boots, it's just the Boar and the Orb, and yeah, they don't want to just commit to that 2v3 in that kind of scenario. But let's just keep track of that mid lane. I think that's going to be probably the most interactive one between the two sides. Generally speaking, the Earthshaker is going to be pulling the lane back with Fisher, just trying to survive, but getting his bottle out. And of course, the Lina is going to be zoning him out at long range. So pretty much what you'd expect from those lanes. But Rabbit versus SCC in the mid could definitely go either way.
Yeah, especially with Rabbit being able to, like you said, use that Essence Shift to keep the spamming from coming out. However, the bottle does turn that Essence Shift into an asset for Dragon Knight because he gets more mana out of the bottle once the Essence Shift wears off. So I don't know how you feel about the Earthshaker off lane. I'm always a little cringy with that when I see it. I see it fail far too often. He doesn't have any traditional escape.
Hey, you might see that here, actually. Yeah. They're going to Sunstrike, right clicks. No, slightly off the mark, 18. But honestly, I've seen it succeed like at least 2/3 of the time. Chinese Dota, they've actually optimized it so much better than other scenes in general. Like I see it occasionally try it out in NA Dota and stuff like that, and it's a little bit awkward. But the way I've seen it from these like tier 1 Chinese teams, it's a very legitimate strategy. It's probably one of the better offlane options, actually. Wow. But we'll see here. Sansheng taking a lot of hits, assuming a lot of damage, but in order to get 456 out of position, and they kind of bait him into it, they pull him back, they get a kill, and that's the second blood. MK will look for a Janata Strike onto Sansheng, I think, but he's got to know that the Skywrath is nearby.
So presumably these guys are doing 2-1-2 out of Newbee.Y in order to maximize their levels, make sure that everybody's kind of getting up a little bit of an advantage here, and they are going to suffer a bit of gold because of that, because their lanes are not going to be as strongly formulated. And they're trying to get into the mid game really effectively. In order to do that, they need to be taking fewer risks. They need to just kind of sit in the lanes, take what they can get, and make sure that they're coming into the mid game as strong as possible. Once that bounty hunter starts hitting 6-7, he can start to rotate a little bit more effectively. The Lina can start to rotate a little more effectively once she has her ult as well. Up until then, the dual lanes are going to mean that they're playing at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I think the first bullet actually plays a lot more into it than you'd expect. Actually, Sunshine going to eat a big Janelle strike, breathe fire as well. This is a good kill opportunity, but on the cliff, no. Just going to be dropped down into the river and getting that nice kill, and that's a very important one. But yeah, I think the first blood, getting Sunshine those early boots of speed really changes how he's able to move in the lane. With the assistance of Dust of Appearance and Concussive Shot, kind of suppressing back the Bounty Hunter and limiting his potential movement. Oh, June. That's a big fisher. Gonna come out. We're gonna be able to see the Pounce connect on top of SCC in a moment here. Under the tower, though, it's not ideal, but still. Oh, they get the pull back, and they're gonna be able to get the kill. Rabbit, one hit from death. The Sunstrike, he disjoints it with the Shadow Dance, and he will barely survive. Looking at top lane, we see the Beastmaster dove under the tower by the Skywrath, and the Bristleback Banana limping away at 38 HP. If they get out with both of these heroes, that would just be insane. It's only a 25-second cooldown on Sunstrike, though. I think he's going to try for it. So keep an eye on Banana here, but it's a really tough find for Piao on the Invoker.
Yeah, he's going to have to basically shoot that a blind fire while trying to lane. It'll be pretty difficult for him. Let's see. He is keeping it invoked, though, and he's presumably waiting. It's off cooldown, though, so if he was going to do it, he'd be doing it by now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe wait for the fountain timing, but yeah, generally speaking. Oh, I see it go somewhere, but it's not going to be onto the Banana. That's the important thing. Don't have the Sunstrike indicator, but it looks like unsuccessful attempt, and we're just going to go back to the laning phase. So right now, it's 4-for-1 in favor of Newbee. How big do you think kills are in the early game in terms of Newbee's momentum?
Really, really big. We're in the mid. We're going to see actually Rabbit take a little bit of a hit, but thanks to Dark Pact, he's going to get out.
Did he not get hit by either of those fire blasts?
I think he got hit, but he immediately bottled up on his way out of that fight. So he also Dark Pacted out of the stun. So
yeah.
But yeah, the momentum for Newbee.Y here is pretty important on the Radiant side, just because, like I said, they already took in terms of gathering farm and inferior laning configuration in order to try and get their mid-game momentum going in terms of their levels and in terms of their ability to rotate. If Newbee is able to kind of stifle them in that, then they will not only have taken a superior farming route, but they will also have the momentum that Newbee.Y is really counting on.
So the one thing I like about June's item build traditionally on the Earthshaker offlane is that he's going to go just bottle straight into Blink Dagger, and you can often find the Blink at just like 12 or 14 minutes based on almost entirely unreliable gold. So that in of itself, I think, is a really neat thing, just because he's able to get it at such a timing where the Echo Slam actually becomes very impactful. Sometimes you see, obviously, all those different intermediary items, the Magic Wand, Arcane Boots, etc., but going to see a combo here onto Piao. Not sure if they can get this kill, but I'm certainly going to try. Doing the nuke damage. Wow! He actually evaporates with the amplification of the Ancient Seal, along with all those other nukes.
Yeah, 30% increased damage when you're doing pretty much exclusively magic is not something to shake a stick at. Like you had said, that's not a kill that you would normally have expected to be so clean or even possibly achievable. But when you only have to do 70% damage in order to make that kill happen, it's a lot faster than you'd expect.
Definitely. So, I mean, for right now, 456 is suppressed under tower by the Bristleback. Moo gets to do whatever the heck he wants in this lane. He's got net worth of 3,300, a last hit count of 43. In the meantime, in the mid lane, Skywrath's rotations have been very successful, and now he's kind of helping out Rabbit, allowing him to play aggressively right back here. And, I mean, he still has his ultimate passive, so at the very least, he's going to be able to kind of back out of the lane, regenerate up, and always have that get out of jail free card. It's not like they have that much in terms of ground target disable. They do have the Light Strike Ray, they do have the Sunstrike for damage, but generally speaking, I think that the Slark should be able to get out of most situations just with the Shadow Dance alone.
I'm really surprised that this Lina hasn't been rotating more successfully so far this game, especially since she did start the game off with a Mango, which normally implies that you're going to be hitting a bunch of combos that you can't wait for clarity to give you the mana up. It's more expensive, for comparable amount of mana. You really just need the instant mana, and the regen from traveling lane to lane helps as well. Helps kind of give you some sustain if you're going to be doing a lot of rotating.
Well,
but Luna hasn't.
No, well, the way I would say it is, if you're rotating and you're roaming in that capacity, you have time to pop a Clarity, which is going to give you more mana, just takes a little bit longer. The way I would say it is the main goes for the Laguna combo. If she uses a Dragon Slave or LSA early and doesn't have enough for the full 3 spells, then you're going to be able to get that Laguna Blade out with that mango. So for now, it's kind of just a reserved HP regen item, and then later it'll be for getting that extra spell out. You can hold this item for, I don't know, 25 minutes, as long as you get that one time where it gets you that extra kill. It's still worth the pickup.
It's definitely an item that you want to have if you have an empty slot. There's no reason not to have it. It's one of the better early to mid-game items that you can pick up in the game for almost any hero. There is a lot of aggression potentially onto Rabbit here, but he is just hugging this tower as his teammates come in under smoke. Presumably he's going to go out and try to bait something here. Or maybe not. Here we go. They're thinking about it.
Yeah, just playing very passive, all things considered, and Dragonus is going to go ahead and farm up a stack. This stack was given to him by the Earthshaker for the most part, so with the help of the Lina, this is going to be cleaned up pretty quickly, and SCC will be able to build himself up towards his first big item of the game. Not sure what that will be, but for now, Tread's Magic Wand Bottle taken care of, and Dust coming out a little late on MK for them to find a kill. I mean, they can telekinesis him back, but he's still pretty close to a safe position, and they won't be able to follow through. So it's going to be June stacking up Ancients for the Bristleback. It's going to be a quad stack very shortly. And they're going to actually dive the Tier 1 tower up here, looking for 4, 5, 6. So going to connect, getting past the tree line here, converging and pincering. They break down the trees, but he's caught by the pounce. Banana will be the trade, and Rabbit, again, with that Shadow Dance, just hasting himself away. It's Sansheng to be left behind, and that actually makes it a 2-for-1. Yes, it's an offlaner versus supports, but in this situation, it's perfectly fine for Newbee.Y.
Yeah, especially because they're already sitting behind a little bit. It doesn't look like they're going to lose a tower out of it, at least not right away. However, if Moo goes down, this could work out very well in their favor.
How do you think they would find that? I mean, obviously the mango would be a pretty big aspect to it, but still moves seems really tanky. Up.
Yeah, he is very tanky. It's going to be, they're going to try to force him back in toward this Laguna Blade combo, I would assume. Although there's just 175 mana after the mango available. I don't know. They are clearly expecting to get something here, so they're going to try to push the tower, but they're being collapsed in on as Moo starts to run out the front lines.
Oh,
and
June, Invis, Echo Slam. Could you at least get a Fisher block here? But the Echo comes out on the creep wave. Immediate stun from Dragonite. What a reaction from SCC, but still they're locked out. The Magic Wand can't even come, and Piao will fall too. And that was an insanely fast Dragon Tail, but it didn't matter because he just goes down so quickly nevertheless. I think they had the Sentry Ward in place right when he entered into Echo Slam range, and they were able to respond, but a moment too late.
I'm entirely unsure what Newbee.Y was aiming to do with that weird push movement if they weren't going to dive the tower and try to kill that Bristleback while he was alone. It was pretty clear, I think, from most perspectives that there was going to be reaction from Newbee before this Tier 1 top was going to go down. It just seemed like a little bit of an overzealous aggression coming out of Newbee.Y there.
Yeah, they were looking for Newbee to make a mistake and misstep by themselves, and the Bounty Hunter would scout out that opportunity. But yeah, the movement from all the other heroes didn't really make much sense, especially like the Lina doesn't really need to be there until they see that person in particular. So I could imagine like Hawk scouting and Bounty Hunter scouting being fine, but I don't really see any really positive scenarios unless Newbee is just really out of position. But we'll see right now. I mean, just spreading the map out a little bit here. MRR is going to go back down bottom. Actually, it should be converged on here. Yeah, Skywrath is going to be able to slow him up, and that's going to be another kill.
Does have Laguna Blade, but will be silenced out before anything can happen.
Yep, pretty easy opportunity there for Banana, and a good rotation from him. Smart TP. So now Bristleback gets to go on to these Ancients. This is a quad stack of Ancients going down quick. 2 moves Quill Sprays, and that suddenly, he just got this Vanguard, and now suddenly he's going to be hitting at 1,200 plus gold after it.
Yeah, talk about catch-up potential, and he is not only going to be rolling in the dough, so to speak, but he's also going to be able to bottle himself back up and move into this mid if Newbee.Y does decide to overstay their welcome.
Hawk Steel coming in from the Rubik. Generally speaking, you summon your Hawk and then immediately summon Boar to cover that up. But we're going to see Piao actually go in, get caught by the pounce. No Invis away. He's going to take a lot of damage. The Sunstrike will do some good work, though. If they could clean up 2, this would be huge. They already kill off the Slark. They have the track out on Moo. and they will leave it at that, but still a very big pickup for them, with Piao surviving, the start going down.
Yeah, unfortunately for Newbee.Y, none of them are hitting hard enough yet to overcome really the protection that is granted to that Bristleback by both Bristleback and Vanguard. They need to be swinging for about 110 damage before they can even really scratch them.
SCC committing to the tier 1 tower will bring it down with the corrosive breath, so 2 steps forward, and they even have the Hawks cutting out June. There's going to be the death of the Hawk thanks to the Fisher, but MK will just kind of throw out that track anyhow. So going to go for what you would expect from the new Shuriken changes, a max Shuriken build, essentially just enabling him to, if he gets a couple tracks out, even Shurikening a creep should allow you to bounce that damage out across and putting out a lot of magical damage in the fight itself. So that's going to net some really good kills, and that's going to push Newbee.Y into a forward position in this game. They've been behind in net worth to this point, but a couple of track kills could easily change that.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to slam him, though. Yeah,
wow.
I mean, I saw the pullback, and I thought there was some possibility of them following up with a few more spells, but committing the Echo Slam, they easily get the kill. And now it's 456, it's caught out by the Goo, no TP. Any Goo will kill him, and Rabbit with the Blink will finish the job.
So, to make matters worse, while Invoker does have the Midas finished up, he's held onto it for about a full minute off cooldown just now, not using it. And the item just does not pay off if you're not using it as quickly as you can, at least within 10 seconds of cooldown. Especially if he was alive and just kind of wandering around the jungle, deciding what creep he wanted to eat. And that's not a very effective way to get your returns on that item.
Yeah, but I do feel like as far as like how the scale weighs out between the importance of gold versus experience, that Invoker is a little bit tipping the scales as far as trying to be picky. Like if anybody's going to be picky about which creep to eat, it's got to be Invoker. Like he is so experience dependent. But we do see now Dragonite going to get pressured out, slow and stun. Moose coming in too, but I think that he still will get out okay. He's going to take a few hits, but just going to back off. He has that max Dragon's Blood, and that makes him quite difficult to bring down.
Yeah, there is a smoke available on the Rubric if they do want to fade back a little bit and then move into their opponent's jungle. They should be able to grab a kill, but there is no mana available, so they are just going to kind of fade back as a group. Not a lot really happening in terms of Newbie's progression. They don't have any significant items other than the Blink Daggers and the Vanguard, which we've been seeing used. Rabbit just being cheeky, but he doesn't have any vision. And Newbee, honestly, just kind of buying themselves some time.
So, I mean, at least for right now, they're kind of weathering the storm of the early game aggression Newbee were able to bring forth. But a big problem they're going to be up against very shortly is not just the Blink Dagger on the Slurk, but the Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker. So much more potential with this item now. We already saw 2 decent Echo Slams just to get kind of solo kills previously from June, but now with the Blink Dagger, he can do so much more. And it makes it very difficult for Newbee to push. I mean, with the Exhort Invoker, you expect a couple of Forge Spirits, a Hawk, a Boar. All of these summons could easily be just setting up a recipe for disaster when it comes down to the Echo Slam. Just enables them to clear out the creep wave, clear out all of the summons, and most likely one-shot a hero if he's too precariously positioned. Even going for the Necronomicon, like this all is feeding into that Echo Slam. Yes, it will return some damage on the Earthshaker, and that's great, but if you misposition even slightly in your push, you're going to be punished heavily.
So Bristleback has finished up his Sange. I'm interested to see if he goes for the classic Heaven's Halberd or if he decides to branch out and grab that Silver Edge. Normally, I wouldn't really expect him to even consider a Silver Edge, but just the fact that the Silver Edge gets an additional -12 armor onto Dragonite for 5 seconds, that is a huge amount of damage output. Like just an instant -12 armor from a cheap item.
Yeah, we're going to see Piao actually pressured very heavily. Really not sure about him pushing up this far with the tier 1 already gone, and he's just going to be killed off very quickly. Easy pick off for Sansheng and Rabbit with a little bit of help from Amu, who secures the kill. So, yeah, I've seen a couple of different Sanj pickups, Heaven's Halberd I've seen, and then I've still seen the kind of CAS Classic SNY. I still see that kind of as a pickup here, just kind of staying active in the fights, very mobile. But June going in with the Blink Echo Slam, SCC getting clobbered, still tanking through it though, and the AoE damage is so legit. They actually kill off the Earthshaker and almost bring down Rabbit. He pounces away, he will survive, and Now they're just going to get Light Strike Ray Moo. He's going to tool it out with the Beastmaster on the front line, and it is just a battle of the bruisers here. Moo down to 300 HP. Rabbit jumping in with almost none. They lose the Skywrath. Moo going down. It could be Lena to clean up everything here, but they need one more right click, and he pounces away anyways. So disjointing any potential oncoming attacks. But the Sunstrike, I think, actually caught out the Bristleback. The Bristleback did go down to the Sunstrike under the Forge Spirits. Rabbit will survive, but they still cleaned it up pretty nicely.
Yeah. I mean, all things said and done, they can be pretty happy with that if they especially manage to get some creep damage up on this tower. They might even be able to take this tower down, considering both the Rubik and Rabbit are sitting at full health now. No, and the TP out indicates that there will not be a defense here on this tower.
Yeah, no, definitely. They've glyphed it just for the freebie there, but it is definitely not going to be lasting much longer, and that's going to be just giving map control more so to Newbee. They can start kind of invading into the jungle a little bit. There is one good Obs Ward coming in from the Radiant side that will detect any visible movement, but smoking in or just in that general thing is going to be the best way to approach a Beastmaster lineup anyways, because walking into a Bounty Hunter or a Hawk, you're going to be having some problems actually finding those openings, but you smoke in, you don't have to worry about the TP wrap, like kind of flank from the tier 1 tower down bottom, and you just have more potential to go for quick kills in that jungle. But Sanjay Yash is actually going to be the pickup for the Bristleback, so some just really enjoying that mobility, and Moo is among them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good pickup. It's not necessarily the pickup I would normally expect from a Bristleback, especially against a lot of right clickers, but hey, if he wants that mobility so that he can get around and make sure that he's not going to be kited out, make sure he can catch up if he does get caught up in a tornado and just kind of spray out that quill damage, it obviously is going to work for him.
Mm-hmm. And now we're going to see the smoke come through right under the Hawk. They're going to pop it. They need a perfect AoE stuns here. The Roar not coming out fast enough. And actually, 456 might not even get it off. He'll die in the silence. STC unveiling that BKB. It's doing some work in terms of keeping him active. But Meteor coming through, not doing enough damage right now. And Rabbit finds the Dragon Knight. Nice Light Strike Array, though. The Laguna Blade bringing down the Slark. And the Echo Slam the other way. Oh, these ultimates are so high impact, but it is going to be Newbee now on the hunt, looking for one more. MRR down to 3 HP from the Urn of Shadows, but still alive, and 456 running for the hills. I don't think he gets out. They'll tower dive him, they'll stun him, and Moo will bring him down. Skywrath with the last hit. Lena barely surviving, getting to TP back to safety, but nevertheless, a great fight for Newbee. It started off with the Slark going down, unfortunately, but they followed through with a ton of kills and actually a dieback on the Beastmaster.
Yeah, that's really... I guess the dieback on the Beastmaster not as painful now as it will be later. Obviously, it costs a lot less gold, and they're not going to lose towers out of it. But just the fact that with 6 heroes, they can't win a fight up against Newbee, when they also started that fight, I think, with a little bit of high ground advantage as well, though it's pretty scattered. Things are not looking super great for Newbee.Y right now. They picked a fairly momentum-based draft. They laned it with the intention of really working that momentum, and it hasn't been panning out for them so far.
Yeah, MK hasn't really been able to accomplish too much here. I mean, he's stalking, he's kind of scaring him off, but in the end, what can he really accomplish on this Lark? He's got to be setting things up. Maybe if they go for like some crazy Sunstrike plays with him finding solo kill opportunities, they can rebound a little bit here, but as it stands, the Invoker is just trying to get Necro 3 up, which is kind of a way to build a more split push potential, but not actually win fights. The Dragon Knight is just used his BKB, which he had to rush out this game, which is quite unfortunate. And SCC is now getting caught out. BKB or not, he's going down, and that is really just the state of the game right now for Newbee.Y. They're getting picked off, they're getting pulled apart, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, what the heck was he doing out here basically alone, well across the river, in front of his opponent's tier 2 with nobody on the map?
I mean, they have Hawk up, but really, against Blinks, 3 Blinks now, it's just kind of a huge misplay. And, I don't know, he kind of wants them to go on him because he's so tanky, but they show how squishy he can be if they all focus him down.
Yeah, this is... And obviously, Aegis is going to be going... If the Bristleback picks this up, he cannot die. He doesn't even really need it, and they are going to give it to the Slark instead, which is a really good call. So now, both Slark and Bristleback well above net worth of their opponents, with the exception of the Invoker, whose Midas, by the way, has gone maybe 4 uses at 22 minutes, maybe, but he's had multiple periods of time where he's gone well over a minute with it off cooldown, either due to die or just because he wasn't in a position to be able to grab a good creep. He does have his Necro 3 up, so he is counter-warding a little bit, and that will help a bit, but I don't really know that it's going to be the item to turn the game by any means.
Nah, it's a tough spot to be in. MRR is going to be picking up a mechanism pretty soon here, so that's going to be a nice pickup. An expensive one in terms of not just the gold, but the mana in the fights. But if he can get the full combo of his spells off along with the mech usage, it could be a way to kind of bring this back a little bit. It's been a lot of 5-on-5 Dota so far, so trying to build up your team and get that, 1250 heal potentially. That's a really big deal. Long term, maybe things of Guardian Greaves, but probably just like a Blink Dagger before that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Blink Dagger, if she even manages to get to that point, would be very, very helpful for her. She does have most of the components of Guardian Greaves, so it's easier to go for the Guardian Greaves if she's going to be dying a lot, which if this game... If the past is any indicator of the future, she's probably going to have trouble staying alive pretty soon.
Oh, SEC has a track on him from Rubik, and they just go ahead and jump right on him. He pops the BKB, gets a good stun out, but if they just walk away from that, that'll be fine. I mean, the BKB charge is now down to 8 seconds. It's stuck on cooldown, and tracks are flying back and forth.
Well, this is going to be a very difficult fight for Newbee.Y to be able to take. The one major advantage that they've had so far this game is that their vision has been superior.
Oh, Rabbit misses the jump, though. They're not even waiting out the Elder Dragon. They just go in, pop the Shadow Dance, force the Glyph, but SCC now getting the stun on the Moo. Nice ultimate, but he gets pulled back and healed up by the mech. Oh, my. Back and forth spells, but nobody... Just the Bristleback going down now. He charged in right behind Rabbit. Thought that they could make that play happen, but with the Echo Slam, they just might. June getting a great stun out there, but no mana for the Fishner now. He goes down quick, and they just keep on jumping into a bad engagement. I don't understand why they didn't just wait out the Elder Dragon form. It definitely would have been a timing window where the BKB was on cooldown, but the ulti wasn't in effect, and with that, they could have taken an easy fight, but instead they go right into the Red Dragon, and they eat the flames. They take a lot of big stuns, and Newbee feed away 3 kills for 1.
Yeah, I think they were really hoping to get in and get some track gold, but that track was going to be hanging around for a while. It's not like they were really on a timer for that. Their eyes just got bigger than their mouths, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Slark being scouted out pretty successfully by the Bounty Hunter, but there's really no way to close in on that. He does have the Medallion of Courage up, which is going to help either with the next Roshan, which should be rolling around in about 5 minutes, or just making sure that these engagements are going their way, especially being able to throw that extra little bit of armor up onto some of the lower armor heroes like that Invoker, and keep him alive that much longer.
It could be pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I think the best case scenario for Slark scouting around, the Bounty Hunter scouting around like that, is they make them think there's a ward there because the Shadow Dance is not active as a passive. But there's so many things that can see that. Obviously, the Hawk, we see that moving around. He knows the Bounty Hunter's there, so he doesn't even bother pinging it. And it's actually going to be a pick off there, 3v1 onto the Invoker. He's just really desperate for farm at this point. He feels the Blink will give him that mobility he needs, but there's a couple Blink Daggers against him, and it's too hard for him to react.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in time, Newbee.Y is just trying to buy a little bit of time, right? That there's some coagulation of the heroes coming in down here in the bottom lane, and Newbee is going to force the issue a bit, which is really to Newbee.Y's disadvantage, but they're going to buy as much farm as they can out of this little bit of space that they have. And spread across the map, they're starting to make their travel here as Rabbit dives into 2.
Yeah.
He's just trying to force them back. And
he's got the haste rune, so he can pretty much do whatever he wants right now. And they forced the Glyph fairly early. This seems like they want to defend the tier 2, but how could they even manage it? They'll smoke, they'll pop the Glyph. It seems like this is them committing to a pretty heavy fight. They have Armlet on Dragonite. He pops the Red Dragon, and they're going to go in. So he's looking at this BKB, saying this is an opportunity for me to show what I can do. He's only level 15 instead of the blue, so... it's just going to be enough to force them back, and they'll hold the tier 2.
Yeah, well, some chip damage on tier 2, no damage done in terms of Newbee losing ground. They are actually forced a lot of rotation, so that worked out in their favor as long as they don't re-engage into smoke here and end up dropping. Moo is tracked, so Newbee.Y is very aware of everything that's going on, and Moo is actually going to segregate himself from the rest of his team until that track wears off.
Yep, but just refreshed onto Banana and blink away. They kind of get the full vision they want. They get the Dragon Tail, but not the best target. Double damage on the field, and SCC grabs it. He pops the BKB first and then goes to town with armlet double damage. Unfortunately, Moo is not the target that's going to die quickly to that. So instead, they're going to go on to June, and he goes down with that Medallion Cold Snap. It's going to be Banana on the back end. Is going to get caught out by the Roar, killed off, and now SCC dueling out with Rabbit. Tanky as can be. The armlet can't come out in time, though. Magic Wand and armlet, a lot of potential HP, but he just falls first. Now Moo, out of mana, low life, on the run, and it looks like he'll just be able to walk away. The track hurts him, the 9 melting strikes, but it's Rubik to fall next with that Sunstrike connecting. Rabbit misses out on Piao. He blink dodges to the high ground, and that is going to be how it breaks down. Looking at the fight recap, 1,900 gold in favor of Newbee.Y and 5,000 experience going their way. A really tremendous fight for them.
Yeah, that's exactly what you would have expected. That was re-engagement there. Smoke, vision advantage for Newbee.Y. There was really no objective for Newbee to be moving under, and Newbee was kind of caught off guard there. I think they expected Newbee.Y to be farming out the jungle a little bit, trying to catch back up, maybe spread out across those camps. So they thought, well, we can scoot up this high ground and come into one of those camps, get a really, really good advantage on one of these heroes before it breaks into a team fight, and just kind of roll from there. But as it turns out, thanks to the track and good awareness coming out of Newbee.Y, they not only were aware of what was going on, but wanted it.
Mm-hmm. And out of that cash money, Bounty Hunter is able to pick up what I think is the best item in the game for a support Bounty Hunter, turning his Medallion of Courage into a Solar Crest. And the amazing thing about this item is that you can use it offensively through Magic Immunity, just like Medallion. So you can apply a 30% miss chance to an enemy, no matter if they have a BKB or not. They almost have to buy an MKB off of this cheap little item that you're throwing at them. It's just so valuable. It also takes away 10 armor, so it makes them easier to kill. They're not doing damage, you are. It's the best of both worlds for MK. This is an incredible pickup for him, and at a decent timing, all things considered.
Yeah, and also it's worth noting that he's already going to have the Medallion of Courage. So for the extra 1,800, you get all of the additional bonus of having that shine active. You just have more armor on yourself, and the mana regen, especially considering a support Bounty Hunter is going to, even with the intelligence upgrades that he got in this patch, have a bit of trouble maintaining the ability to throw out all those tracks and the Shuriken when he needs to in these fights in order to actually have some damage output.
So right now, just spreading the map a little bit here. Newbee are kind of hanging out in the mid lane. They've got one down bottom and Moo. No way to get to really engagement, but seems like both teams are willing to play passive for the next 2 minutes. Wait for that Roche to make the clash happen. Hawks scouting things out. Looks like they'll both be picked off here. Nice money for Rabbit, but overall, it's kind of the same situation here. We have 15,000 net worth on the Bristleback, nearly 14k for the Slark, but Invoker, Dragonite trailing just slightly behind.
Yeah, Newbee is at this stage in the game ahead by more than the net worth of some of Newbee.Y's players, of most of Newbee.Y's players, actually. So that's not a great position to be in as if you're Newbee.Y, but the good news is it is slowly eking back towards equilibrium and more or less steady. So if they are able to manage to take some fights now from behind, as they have been, it could be a sign that maybe they're going to be able to swing something back their way and actually take an advantage.
Yep, we'll see. I mean, the Dragonite is an incredible carry. It has a lot of potential to just take the late game by force with the blue dragon form. The splash radius is pretty insane. The slowing effect, it's like having a built-in Scotty, but it's still a lot on his shoulders. The Invoker, his scalability right now is kind of weak. He has going to be going for Blink Hex, and that'll be great. It'll allow him to kind of take 1% of the fight temporarily, but all in all, just not enough. And now MK actually looks like they'll be able to catch him out. Yeah, they do have the detection they need. Somebody's got a gem, I believe.
It's on the Banana.
Yeah.
It's on the, yeah. So they were literally just waiting for Banana to sling his butt on over there and make that kill possible.
Ooh, June looking for an opportunity up top. This could be a good one, but both TPs come out just in time. 1 second later, and he's blinking and fishing and canceling them to bring them down, but nope.
Yeah. The Hawk sitting here on the south side of the jungle made it possible for them to know exactly when they needed TP away. And that vision advantage, I mean, it's hard to focus on it in terms of the language that we use in order to describe the game because it's such a small thing that isn't really an active part of the player positions. But the fact that Newbee.Y is able to have such a severe advantage in terms of their vision is allowing them to take fights that they honestly have no business being able to take, being this far behind this early. They're really able to go up and push down tier 2s that they have no business being able to push down safely, as long as they show some discipline with the decisions that they make. So the vision advantage, really, it is one of those little things that as a spectator you don't really notice as much, but it makes a huge difference for this team, especially when playing from behind.
Yeah, if you watch these guys on player perspective, watching back replays, you can see just what they can gain from that, knowing exactly what the Radiant or Dire side are seeing, and specifically how each team uses that information to make the right decision. Tactics is really everything in these engagements here. We've seen fights go one way or another, and it's based on those who's where, who's using what, those initiations, and a lot of that comes down to vision. The data that they get from things like Hawk Scout could tell them, hey, there's Roshan going on. Can we contest a bit? No, we'll push this tier 2 tower. Just using time efficiently.
Yeah, and then I think, honestly, if they do manage to get this 2-tier tower, which they probably can, they've got Invoker with Alacrity. He's banging away. He does not have very much more time, though, so he's got to make it happen now or back off.
Oh, Banana, wow. Jeez, Earnest Shadows will bring him back up, but he hit that Necronomicon hard, and it took out, 60% of his HP. It was insane.
Almost got the tower. Had they managed to get the tower, I think that Roshan trade would have been all right, because they're honestly not trying to engage into situations where Rabbit's around anyway.
This TP won't succeed this time around, and they will catch him out. He does get the Aghanim Scepter, so it's not the most painful of deaths, but it is going to be a nice slow one, and he actually gave the roar away. Like, I was like, at first I'm like, yeah, if you have to throw out the roar, it's a short enough cooldown, it'll be back up when you respawn. And then everybody forgot there was a Rubik on the field, so...
Yeah. Well, he was invis under cover of the Shadow Dance.
But he was the one that jumped him in the first place with telekinesis.
Yeah, that's true. So. You know he's there, but it's easy to panic when he's not right in front of you, right? So.
Sure. Is he gonna go? Oh my gosh, June popping double damage rune. I'm like, is this the play? Going for the Blink Echo, enchant totem to stop him. But no, it's going to be a fallback here. They've got the Invis Shadow Blade up. He's going to go for the Sun. He's going to be looking for that Silver Edge. And I think that's where they try to kind of retake the game, is off a Silver Edge initiation.
Yeah, that will be obviously very nice against the Bristleback. As we said last game, being able to turn off that Bristleback is huge for being able to both kill that hero and not be killed by him, but also being able to get rid of that Essence Shift power. In these fights, and also being able to get rid of the Shadow Dance regen in case the Slark dips in and out of vision. It's a very, very good item, and we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of it as teams wrap their head around how strong it is.
Unless they're going to connect on Rabbit, they'll follow it up with the Blue Dragon, BKB looking for the tail. They actually get the Roar Force Staff out. He keeps getting forced away from them, and they waste all of these cooldowns. They waste the BKB, they waste the Roar, just off of 2 Force Staffs. They just shift them out of trouble. They've got 3 Force Saves, and they will use 2 of them to reset the fight completely and reinitiate on their terms. They'll take the tier 2, no problem. Glyph or not, this is going down. The Invoker is focused elsewhere up top, and all they have to do is wait for the Blue Dragon form to be confident in the high ground.
Yep, and there's really not a lot that Newbee.Y can do about this. They're just trying to be as much of a pain as they can. But honestly, the Invoker had the right idea. They're not going to be able to defend that anyway. Might as well get something done up top.
Oh, they actually catch out SCC. They're not waiting. He's walking out into their open arms. He walks out below. Anything past the steps is a mistake. And June just fishers him. He has no BKB. He dies. And now they're going to go in 5v4. What was going to be a difficult fight is now impossible. As Slark jumps in. Going to get the bash on 456. No roar for you. And Moo is popping the BKB. Running around in circles. Not sure where to go. He's taking a lot of damage thanks to that Solar Crest. And the Sunstrike almost kills him. But he's going to keep on running. So, yeah. Under the tower, the track, Solar Crest. He takes some hits, but still, they're 3 down for Newbee.Y, and this might be the last stand. Piao getting hit by the Echo Slam. They do not hit with the pounce, but they still have the detection to finish him off in the end, and that is going to be a chain of incredible kills. They might lose the Aegis. 4 Staff's not going to be enough, but still, going back up with full HP, full mana, more time to build up that essence. We're going to see the Rax focused melee first, but I think they can get both pretty easily here.
Yeah, it's going to be both Rax, and then probably roll bottom and grab that tier 2. They can't really throne here. I mean, they might be able to take another fight, but they really don't want to take that risk. So rotating around for that tier 2 that's already being pushed. Actually, might go down with just creeps. They may not even have to send anybody down, but Rabbit's going to go down as insurance just to make sure that they grab that.
Yep, not too much difficulty. MK is approaching. We're going to see the Beastmaster TP, but Rabbit has enough cooldowns. So if he pops a Dark Pact, and he did. So he'll be pouncing away. He'll be blinking away. And today we learned that Solar Crest is dispellable with the Dark Pact. So it's all about timing for the Bounty Hunter, using it against Rabbit to try to limit his right clicks. But he won't be going for MKB anytime soon. He's looking for that Abyssal.
Yeah. As we are taking a look at some of our items, 3 Force Staffs now up on the side of Newbee. We really haven't seen anything new come out for a while on Newbee.Y. In fact, I don't even know what's their current gold looking like. They are not really sitting on top of a lot. There's Invoker with 3,000. Everybody else is below 500 with no real new items having come out. Force Staff will be coming out relatively soon for the Bounty Hunter.
So this support Skywrath suddenly picked up a soul booster. Is this gonna be a freaking Octarine Skywrath from a support?
I am surprised that he has the farm to get it, quite honestly, but not after having watched this game. Like at the beginning of the game, if you told me, a hard support Skywrath who rotated a lot and was really just there to secure farm is getting an Octarine core sub 45 minutes potentially, I probably would not have believed you. But it is a very strong item this year, like incredibly strong. Gives him the ability to throw as much as he wants. He can throw out the Arcane Bolt every 1 second, basically. He can do it faster than he can auto attack.
Yeah.
Like literally, he can auto attack with Arcane Bolts. He gets 25% lifesteal on those attacks.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds on the Arcane Bolt. It's only 15 seconds on Mystic Flare, which is like, I wouldn't say it's better than Aghanim Scepter necessarily, but it's like, because of the mana issues that come with back-to-back Mystic Flares, 15 seconds is plenty of time for your mana to regenerate to get that second one out. I actually think that is incredible for him. He can start with Mystic Flare and end the fight with Mystic Flare, and he'll have enough time to mana regen that's actually a viable play.
And the amount of gold that
walking in, smoke coming out. We're going to see big stuns on Banana. He evaporates quickly. Moo on the front line now has to turn his bristle back, and June is looking for that Echo Slam. He gets it here on to all 5. Rabbit on the back end going for SCC. They wipe them out. That Echo Slam, incredible from June, and they're looking for one more on the Lena. They'll get the goo. She can't run fast. She will be going down here, and that is a 4-man for 1. GG.
If you're not winning that fight as Newbee.Y, you're not winning any fights as Newbee.Y. They had high ground advantage, they had a choke point, they were away from creeps for the Echo Slam, and they still just got destroyed. They're just too far behind.
Yeah, and that Earthshaker has played amazingly. June just was... Yeah. He really, honestly, the way I've seen June play for Newbee has, generally speaking, been I'm completely unimpressed with him for like 20 minutes, and then the next half of the game, he's the most insane player I've ever seen. Like, he has his highs and lows in every game, but when he hits it, oh boy, does he hit it. And that was just incredible. 4-3-20 is going to be his KDA. Just able to contribute a lot to this game along with the Rubik. And, man, just across the board, Newbee were able to really wipe out the youngster squad and pull it through 40 minutes in. That is going to be game 1 of our 2-game series, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here. We're going to be looking at game 2 in just a few minutes to see if Newbee.Y can bring it back, try to draw it out to a 1-1 tie. They're already doing pretty good in the group stage, but they would love to take 6.84 official up against their proper squad. So that's going to be coming up in just a few minutes, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in here to Beyond the Summit. If you enjoyed the commentary, look us up on twitter.com/blazecasting and /thewondercow. And, of course, check out beyondthesummit.tv for all things BTS related as far as our coverage hub goes. Any closing thoughts, Gorgon, before we go on to the next one?
No, just looking forward to game number 2.
Sounds good, man. Let's do it. See you guys in a few minutes.